Today we're going to be talking about surf fishing, something that I know a little bit more about in our typical tackle talk videos at the shop. And today we're going to be talking about rods and reels. We're actually at Fisherman's Access today in Brea. I'm here with the store manager, Jake, and we just got the chance of meeting today. Thank you so much for having us in the shop. And one of the things that Anthony and I have always talked about from the very beginning was support your local shop no matter where you go. It's a privilege for me. It's my first time being here at Fisherman's Access in Brea, and I was absolutely blown away. I've only been to the old one, walked in here, and oh my goodness, it's absolutely amazing, beautiful, beautiful shop. So Jake, how long have you been at the shop? And tell us a little bit about Fisherman's Access.
Yeah, so I've been probably in the tackle industry for probably 7 or 8 years now. I've been at Fisherman's Access my whole time. I've enjoyed it very much.
Awesome, man. So as you can see, Jake is a super kind guy, full of knowledge, and he will definitely take care of you. Whether you're in the area or not, if you want to just check out the shop, trust me, it'll be worth your time. You know, and you guys know this guy, Anthony. He's been in a handful of videos on the channel, and it's just an honor to have you, and just the fact that your heart is to help the fishermen. And when I was a newcomer, Anthony's the one that really got me started. But today we're going to be talking about surf fishing, and I am extremely excited to share with you some of these rods and reels for surf fishing. As you guys know, I recently joined Team Akuma, and I've been absolutely stoked with the rods and reels, and I was a little bit nervous because I was so unfamiliar with it, but as I've been fishing them for the past 4 months, really surprised, and they absolutely hold up in the surf so far, and actually have had some pretty good sessions with some pretty decent fish. So my confidence level has just been growing, and I'm super excited to share these things with you. So this is going to be a 2-part series, and we're going to be talking about rods and reels in this episode, and then part 2 we're going to be talking about popular rigging techniques and applications for catching almost every fish that you would ever want to catch from the surf in Southern California and beyond. We'll start off with the reels. Anthony, can you maybe introduce us to some of these offerings that we have?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything that we're talking about tonight, Jake has in stock here. He has them in stock for a reason. These are some of the better options for what we do locally. We're going to start with the Samar HD. This is going to be a great price point, great reel. It's going to come with that cool black and red color scheme to match any of your rods. They hold up really well, more than enough drag output, and they're pretty smooth, fairly lightweight. Once we get out of there, I'm going to jump to my personal favorite, is going to be the Inspira. For the surf fishing, we beat our gear up an awful lot, so it's always nice to find something that's at a really good price point that's going to perform well. One of the big features that I like about it is the fact that there's no reverse on the front, so that's one less water or sand access point. So maybe you put your reel in the sand because you're trying to pick that halibut up. You're not getting sand jammed down in there, or if you're wading in the water a little bit, water splashing up, it's one less water access point. So, and then lightweight, it's got the cool carbon fiber top on it, some carbon fiber highlights down on the body, really lightweight, great color scheme, one of my personal favorites. Then we have, maybe we should have Benji introduce this one. This is his personal favorite.
Yeah, this is actually, I took a liking to this immediately. This is the ITX CB. All of these reels are in the 3000 size, and I do that because when you go from the 2500 to the 3000 size of reels, the weight doesn't change and the body's exactly the same, but you just get a little bit of bigger spool, a little bit more line capacity.
Spool diameter, yep.
Spool diameter. So that's why I go with the 3000 size. I have all of these spooled up with 15-pound braid. And I really took a liking to this reel. Cosmetically, I mean, I'm not the biggest when it comes to looks, but it's a beautiful reel. It's got the carbon fiber handle and the carbon fiber top. It actually comes with carbon tex washers, as does the Inspira. Yep. The Samar actually has the felt washers, which I think the majority of reels across the board come with the felt washers.
Yep.
So I think it's a nice touch that it comes with the carbon tex, because I've actually opened up reels after over a year of use and found the washers completely melted. That was actually before I even knew what drag washers were and all that stuff. And so it's nice to know that it comes with the carbon tex, so if you're a newer fisherman, basically don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, they're super durable. They'll probably last the longest out of any of the drag systems.
Yeah, and I like this reel. There's a couple of reasons why I like this reel. The first one is I really like the drag. It's buttery smooth. I really like it. It's the highest of the 3 price points, but still very affordable. Comes in at $159.99. So it is a little bit more expensive, but I think you feel the quality in your hand immediately. The other reason why I really like this reel is because it comes in at 7.9 ounces. These ones come in like just over 8 ounces, which is more than serviceable. For me, 8 ounces is the sweet spot for the surf. I'm a light line surf fisherman, so anything over 8, then I start feeling the imbalance because I'm using lighter rods. And so typically speaking, around 8 ounces is what I'm looking at. This comes in just under at 7.9. And so obviously very, very smooth, and I'm looking forward to throwing my Lucky Crafts with this and putting in some good use. So that's the ITX CB 3000. You know, being in Southern California, we do have a pretty unique fishery when it comes to surf. Typically, when you think of surf fishing, you're thinking of 13-foot rods, 5-ounce sinkers, bring out your lawn chair and your ice cooler and cast it out and put it in the rod holder and you wait. In Southern California, typically speaking, in general, we do feature a much more mobile fishery. So, you know, so we are using lighter stuff so that you can cast more, you can walk without getting tired, which is why I'm featuring kind of the more finesse stuff, which is, I think, probably what Southern California surf fishing is known for. Now, is that all that we do here? No. Of course, when you go down to the beach at Bolsa Chica, you're always gonna see, you know, a line of the bait and weight guys. That's where I'm coming from, it's my bias. And I think that when you walk into the shops, generally speaking, that's going to be your typical surf fisherman, I think.
Yeah.
Right. And then also you might be wondering, well, why all 3000? There's so many different species that you can target from the surf. Basically, the 3000 size, in my opinion, and I'm with the two pros here, so they're going to slap me across the face if I say anything really silly. Basically, with this size reel, around an 8-ounce reel, 3000 size, but it's going to be low profile. Remember, not all 3000 size reels are going to be 8 ounces. There are going to be some reels that are in 3000 size that are going to come in at 12 ounces, you know, 13 ounces, and that's going to be significantly heavier. But with any of these 3 reels, you can target pretty much everything. You can go with your barred surf perch, corbina, spotfin croaker. It'll even handle, you know, small to medium sized leopard shark, your small to medium sized rays. I've actually used all 3 of these to throw the Lucky Craft. And I've caught fish on the Lucky Craft on all 3 of them. It's basically the same. I mean, these reels are gonna be able to handle your bigger halibut, no problem. You know, just make sure you set your drag appropriately. We could talk about that more in episode 2. And, you know, white sea bass. I haven't caught a white sea bass on these yet, but I have caught, and the video is probably out by now, with the Inspira, Anthony's personal favorite. I actually caught a 27-inch striped bass in Southern California waters with this reel, and the rod we're going to talk about in a little bit, but the rod and reel handled it with no issues, and you can check out that video if you haven't seen it already. If you want to get more specific, you can go up to the 4,000 or 5,000 for probably 5,000 for bigger sharks and rays if you're, you know, doing bait and weight. And then if you want to get more specific with ultra light line fishing, which is kind of a niche thing that we do in Southern California, you can go with the 1000 size reel, and it's going to handle your surf perch, your yellowfin croaker. Sight fishing corbina is super, super fun, and I do recommend trying it out if you've never tried it before. I do believe the Inspira comes in a 2000, which is a 1000 body with a little bit larger spool.
Yep. So if you do happen to hook into something a little bit bigger than maybe you were anticipating, you'll have that line capacity to handle that. Your ITX CB is going to come in the 1000.
Yeah.
So if you need something to cross over with your freshwater into your saltwater game, super lightweight and pretty, you could go with Benji Kim's personal favorite.
Yeah, so wonderful options here, but once again, the most important thing is come to the shop and see what they have to offer. We're just kind of showcasing a couple of different options from the Kuma lineup tonight. But Anthony, you want to show us some rods?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go with one of the ones that's been really popular. Again, all these rods are available over here at Fisherman's Access. They have them in stock right now. The Rockaway SP, that's something that we're seeing and hearing a lot about in the last couple months. The 862 ml, that's going to be rated 6 to 12. Coming up here, we're already coming into May, so we're going to see a lot of the wind dying down, hopefully. Let's knock on wood on that. And we're going to see that surf coming down quite a bit too. So we should be getting into some of our lighter line presentations, you know, pairing up with the ITX with something like this, really lightweight, dropping down to 6-pound, 8-pound test line for a lot of our presentations. Really, really lightweight, very simplistic rod. You can see there's not a lot of fancy grips or anything on there. Very lightweight, extremely sensitive. You can feel every little tick with these rods. It's incredible how sensitive they are. They're gonna come in right around 4 ounces on there, so super lightweight. Pairing that up with an ITX, you're gonna be coming in at, you know,
12 ounces.
12 ounces.
11, 12
yeah,
ounces.
that's pretty lightweight. So for those of you that are walking a long distance, maybe you're gonna do the whole Bolsa Chica shoreline there, that big long stretch, casting all day long, we all know we don't wanna be tired when we're doing that. So having a nice lightweight setup goes a long way.
I've been trying to make a Carolina rig video, but I throw the Lucky Craft so much, turns out I suck at throwing the Carolina rig now. So I've actually been going out quite a bit fishing this, and I really, really love this rod, like wholeheartedly. It's only rated 3/16 to 1/2 ounce, and I can't do a full-fledged recommendation here, but I've actually been fishing this with up to a 3 ounce, and I've had zero.
Three-quarter.
I mean,
Not a 3 ounce.
Yeah, not a 3 ounce sinker. I've actually been throwing this with 3/4 ounce when the water's a little bit rougher than I'd like, and it handles it no problem. And in the Southern California surf, in my opinion, you should have a 1/4 to a 3/4 ounce prepared. And if it's any rougher than that, like if you need to go to a 1 ounce, it's probably not going to be the best day to fish anyways.
No.
That's just my personal preference. But I really, really love this rod. It is, like Anthony said, really, really sensitive. You feel, there's a lot of small perch in our SoCal waters, and so there's a lot of tick, 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 ticks, and you feel every little bump. In my opinion, it's an injustice to call this a bang for buck rod, because it comes in at like $115, and I feel like people automatically say, oh yeah, what a bang for buck rod. But I really feel that what you're getting is a lot more than that $115. I really, really like the SP lineup. SP, if you didn't know, stands for surf perch, and it was specifically built for the Southern California market. So I don't know a lot of rods that have been built specifically for this small little market that we have. So just something to think about. I definitely highly recommend it now that I've been fishing it a few times and in the recent weeks.
For the days where you find yourself fishing, you know, that 1 ounce or above, the surf's gonna be up, it's gonna be a little bit stronger. Maybe that's the only day you can get out there. That's where I like fishing that Rockaway SP rod as well. But this is gonna be the 1002 M Plus. This one's gonna be rated up to 3 ounces, so 1/2 to 3 ounces. Again, just an incredibly light rod, but it does come in at a 10 foot. The value of that when we do find ourselves having to fish like a 1 ounce, ounce and a half, even a 2 ounce surfs up, we wanna get that steep angle on the line so we don't have as much drag, so we don't have our baits coming in all tangled up as quickly. So going to a 10-foot rod for something like that, especially the wintertime and springtime, we've been seeing a lot of wind, a lot of higher surf. So having a 10-foot option that's, again, lightweight, affordable, sensitive, I mean, it just covers every single box for SoCal fishing. Some of the guys that want to go fish like the drop shot off of some of the deeper drop-off areas like Palos Verdes, or even down by La Jolla if you're down in San Diego, or up at Ventura, you have some of those steeper drop-off areas. You get kelp really close to the shore, so you're catching rockfish, halibut, sea bass, again, even your perch. It's sensitive enough for your perch, but heavy duty enough if you are fishing like a drop shot or even a larger swim bait or something like that. Even a bigger jerk bait for some of these striper we're seeing.
Yeah, and again, I've been actually fishing this a few times too. I've been throwing the Lucky Craft with this, and if you follow my channel for some time, I will say this much. I throw the Lucky Craft further with this rod than the previous rod that I was using, and it's not even close. The thing that I look for in a rod when I'm throwing the Lucky Craft is a combination of sensitivity and power. And so it's kind of difficult to get that all mixed in together, but this one gets pretty darn close. Like Anthony mentioned, it's 1/2 ounce to 3 ounces. So 3 ounces, that's a lot of backbone.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I was always worried about previously, was putting too much pressure on a bigger fish. And so, you know, I've caught a 32-inch white sea bass, I've caught a 32-inch halibut on a lighter rod, and while I had no problem landing it, like I landed it, it was always on the back of my head. Am I pulling too hard? You know? And with this rod, like, I have zero conscience about pulling too hard. You know, like, you can pull on this, and I will say I feel every little wobble on the Lucky Craft. And so this is actually a pretty close to a do-it-all rod.
So we're seeing a lot of comments, you know, on the different social media platforms, trying to extend the casting distance, right? That seems to be a common thread. We want to get further and further out there. Maybe you're trying to get those schools at Bonita that come in, you know, later in the summer. You want to throw a crocodile or a cast master, you know, you want to bump up to a 3/4 ounce just to get the distance. Going something like that is going to help accommodate that. You know, one of the things we are recommending the 3,000 size reels, but if you are going to designate this as your long distance casting, don't be afraid to go to a 4,000 size. You're going to get incredible distance out of that. And if you are fishing Bonita or, you know, something from shore where you're trying to get that extreme distance, you know, that 4,000 will help with the distance, and it'll give you the line capacity when you're that far out to still fight a good sized fish. But it does pair up with your 3,000 for your surf perch and everything else that, you know, if you're doing that.
Right, so yeah, Carolina rigging. I can take this rod, I can fish it in Southern California with my 1/2 ounce and 3/4 ounce, and then I can drive up to the Central Coast, fish Pismo Beach, and where I need to sometimes put up to 2 ounce, 2.5 ounces if needed, and this rod can do it. I feel like pretty cool to be able to have that option.
100%.
You carry the Rockaway SPs here?
Yes.
Okay, again, we're just showcasing you some options. Jake has an amazing selection of all sorts of stuff, so just come on in and ask him to show you what he's got, but I definitely recommend that. Again, it's something that I can finally vouch for. It took a while, but I've finally been fishing it, and now I can say it from the bottom of my heart. And then Anthony, what do you got?
All right, so I have one of my personal favorite surf rods, and I think we're gonna see this popping up more and more as guys start fishing it a little bit more. This is the Akuma GLS. So this rod here is rated 3/8 to 1 ounce, so it's an incredible Lucky Craft rod. Still sensitive enough to do the surf perch and stuff, but if you're getting a designated surf perch rod, go with the SP. It's gonna be really hard to beat. But if you're looking for a really good Lucky Craft rod or a good jerkbait rod, a good reaction bait rod in the surf, it is really hard to beat the castability, the lightweight, and sensitivity of these rods. It's got a little bit more of a moderate action than some of the SP rods. So for that loading and casting, you know, maximizing your casting distance, properly loading the rod, it's incredible. Comes in that 9 foot. Huge fan of the 9 foot 2-piece. Easy to transport, easy to fish, very balanced with your 3000 size reel. My personal combo is the GLS, and then I'm fishing the 3000 Inspira on it. I like the fact that it's gonna come with the shorter grip, so for just casting like repetitively, you don't have that hang up on your body, or as you're crossing over, there's no hang up. If you have a surf pack on, it's not bumping into that as you're sitting there trying to fish it under your arm. So just all around, super comfortable. I'm a big fan of the cork grips and the EVA or a thicker grip. If you want the most incredible, sensitive, lightweight rod, get the Rockaway for your surf perch. If you want a good Lucky Craft rod to complement that, get one of these GLS Customs. I'm a huge fan of these.
So I'm a little bit upset because you didn't tell me about this firsthand, because I am looking for, you know, my go-to Lucky Craft rod. It's kind of the favorite thing that I like to do from the surf, and it's just what I've become best at doing. And you didn't tell me about this until after I picked up the Rockaway. But the Rockaway is fantastic, so I'm gonna actually be ordering this tonight, and I'm gonna get this in my hands. I haven't thrown it yet. I don't have any feedback on it for you quite yet, but
I did tell him, he just didn't read the whole list.
Yeah. That's true, that's true. In my surf fishing career, I think Anthony's the one that put me on every reel and rod when I was starting out. So generally speaking, when he kind of recommends something to me, I tend to go with it, and it has always worked out, so.
All right.
What the heck? But yeah, Jake, do you have anything else to add when it comes to rods? Maybe when it comes to targeting some of more of your game fish, halibut, white sea bass, like what kind of rod are you looking for typically? And like what are some of the features that you look for when it comes to chasing those kind of game fish?
More than anything, it depends on what you're fishing on, but coming back to piggybacking on the Lucky Craft, how we're talking about the GLS, I really like a rod that's a little bit more moderate when you're fishing the moving baits, because I feel like you have a lot more forgiveness, especially fishing treble hooks, open hook baits. You hook a nice big halibut, hook a striper, sea bass, whatever you have in the surf. You want to have a little bit of forgiveness, which is why I really, really like that GLS, just because it gives you a little bit, for lack of a better word, it's a little more spongier. So it's going to absorb the head shakes a little bit more, try to keep that fish pinned.
I think right now too, Jake is the only one that put these in right off the bat. I showed him my personal setup and he's like, I gotta have it for the store. So he has the largest selection of these available in SoCal right now. So if you are interested in one of these, give him a call before you drive up, make sure he has it in stock, ask him to hold it and drive up. But you're definitely gonna want one of these in your arsenal. Hope
you found this episode helpful. Be sure you leave any questions in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in. And until the next one, tight lines.